Hey, good evening. I'm Scoot, and welcome to Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. Tonight, another episode of The Truth Behind the Microphone. By the way, one thing that I'm going to make a note right now. I need to buy a microphone because the microphone that I have, this little mic that I have, and the handheld mic that it won't fit into my new MacBook Pro. I mean, there's no way to plug it in. So I've got to get a microphone. I'm going to order a microphone. So I've got a nice mic. Order mic. Okay, let's see. What's the score? All right. So the Giants were beating the Tampa Bay Bucks in New York, but now the Bucks have taken the lead, 15-14. Saints play the Bucks next Sunday night in Tampa Bay. Breeze Brady. Should be a great one. In tonight's episode of The Truth Behind the Microphone, I want to talk about a call that I received on my radio show today. And it was a call from a man who started off by saying, Scoot, I've listened to you for so many, many years. I remember when you were on B97. I remember when you were on these other stations. And I did a music, for those of you who don't know me, I did music radio for a long time. Did a crazy morning show and really pretty much took radio to the limits in terms of content, long before anybody ever heard of Howard Stern. I don't know where I got the courage to do it, but I was taking radio to the limits in the very, very beginning of my career, which this year, I started in radio 50 years ago. So, I mean, I'm still like, okay, I started pretty young, but I'm still having a great time. But a guy calls and he goes, man, I used to love to listen to you. And he said, now I can't listen to you because you're too biased. Well, first of all, being biased on talk radio, that's not unusual. Limbaugh, Hannity, they're all biased. In fact, they're more biased than I am. They are dedicated to a very myopic political perspective. I'm not. I'm a registered independent. I'm a radical moderate. I'm a maverick moderate, however you want to phrase it. I mean, I've got strong opinions. Some things I'm conservative. Some things I'm very liberal. And it's okay to be that way. But as a registered independent, I don't have to suck up to Trump. I don't have to suck up to Biden. I don't have to suck up to either party. And so I feel free to be totally honest that I'm not pandering to a very specific audience. I'm pandering to people who are just tired of the whole thing. I'm pandering to those who are moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, or independents, or libertarians. There are more of us than there are of them. So let's take advantage of it and start making a little more noise than we've been making. So this guy calls, I remember listening to you, I can't listen to you now because you're so biased. I am biased. I'm biased against stupidity. I am biased against inequality. I'm biased against prejudice. I am biased against some things. There's a comment from Shatney. I heard that today, Scoot, on your show, Trump supporters are out of control. Well, some of them are. Tomorrow's election day. And it's just, I mean, it's crazy what's going on. I have to admit, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about what may happen. After the video over the weekend of the thug mentality of the Trump supporters in the pickup trucks and the SUVs and the cars with the Trump flags and the American flags, and reports of brandishing guns as they surround this Biden-Harris bus on I-35 in Texas. And slowing it down to 20 miles an hour. I mean, that's not safe. That's thug mentality. And for all those who are so concerned about Antifa, there's also reason to be concerned about some on the right. So anyway, I want to just share this with you because this is who we have become as a nation. So this guy loved me in the past, but he has a hard time listening to me now. Why? Because my opinion differs from his when it comes to a political candidate. And by the way, I don't know whether this mic can pick this up, but if you hear the band in the background, my window is open. I live in a high-rise apartment building in downtown New Orleans. I'm a couple of blocks away from the beginning of Bourbon Street, and that's a band, just a loose group of people that play for money on the street. They're very, very good, and you might be able to hear that because my window's open. I'm not even on like the ground floor. It's on Bourbon Street, 2.5 blocks away, but you might be able to hear that. Hey, it's the sounds of the city. I'm doing the show. I'm doing social media. I'm still doing my radio show on WWL from my studio set up here in my apartment in downtown New Orleans. So it occurred to me, and I talked about it after I had the conversation with this guy. Here's this guy who loved me, but he doesn't like me anymore and can't listen anymore because I don't share his opinion when it comes to political candidates. Now, I never say it's part of my professional standard. I never say who I vote for. And that's just been my policy my entire career. And I'm not going to stop it now. Now, because I'm honest about Trump, see, I don't think I'm critical of Trump. I think I'm honest about Trump. Some people are convinced that means I'm voting for Biden. But Trump is good for my business. I'm a talk show host. Trump gives me material not only every day, but even during the day. There's constantly something new. So a lot of people vote for a candidate that's good for their business, where their business is going to flourish. Trump is good for my business. Don't be so sure you know who I'm voting for. But it occurred to me that here's a guy calling the show who has great memories of me, listening to me in the past on music radio, and now he can't listen because I'm honest about Trump. I'm honest about Biden too, by the way. I was honest about Hillary Clinton in 2016. But the only thing that has changed is that he doesn't think that I'm a Trump supporter. And I'm thinking, so what? And this is where we are as a country. Why have we changed? So in other words, I'm the same person that I was on B97 and when I was doing music radio. I told, it was comedy. It was, jokes and stuff. I had characters and all that. It was a crazy morning show on FM. And so in the early 90s, I got into talk radio, left music radio and got into talk radio. Music is still a part of my show on WWL because music is a soundtrack of our lives. So I make it part of the show. But so here's this man who decides that because I'm not a Trump supporter, in his mind, he doesn't like me. This is America. Aren't we entitled to support who we want to support? And I don't go out of my way to support Joe Biden. Look, I'm honest about Joe Biden. I made fun of Joe Biden too. But why does it come down to that? I feel estranged from people in my personal life. I don't have a really big group of friends. I've got a very small, close-knit group of family and friends. And I feel estranged from some of them because they think I'm way too liberal. And They're worried about me because I'm not a Trump sycophant. I'm not a blind Trump supporter. And I guess it stands out because I'm in New Orleans. And being honest about President Trump in the red South maybe just exaggerates what I stand for. But why do we judge people based on the candidate that they like? It seems to me that there's something about that is intrinsically un-American. There have always been elections, and there's a winner and a loser. And there will be a winner or a loser in this race. Tomorrow's election day. We may not know tomorrow night. We might know, but we may not know tomorrow night who the winner is. There may be an early sign. There may be a red or a blue mirage. There may be an early sign that Trump is winning, or that Trump has won, or that Biden has won. Look, I mean, if it's a landslide, we'll know early, but it may not be a landslide. But why are we so judgmental of people who just like another candidate? And this is not just me. This is everybody in America. This is the country we've become. We can no longer be content saying, this is not who we are. Because guess what? This is who we are. We have become this country. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that anybody would fear violence after the election. This is America. We do this every 4 years. We're the envy of the world. The peaceful transfer of power is something to be admired. And that is in jeopardy. And honestly, and I'm being honest about this, President Trump, even as of tonight, mentioned violence in the streets. And he's frustrated over the court rulings that have ruled against him and Republicans who are trying to F up mail-in ballots and voting in line. The Texas Republican Party tried to have 127,000 votes nullified, just wiped out, because it was drive-through voting. The Texas Supreme Court said, no, they will be allowed. And today, a U.S. District Court judge threw it out and said the 127,000 votes that came from drive-through voting will count. And it's in the Houston area. And Trump and the Republicans are trying to stop those votes because they believe those votes are more for Biden than for him. Don't be scared by this idea that the Democrats are trying to steal the election, because there are Republicans who are trying to steal the election too. And yet some are too blind to see it. And to believe everything that President Trump says is contrary to being a true American. Everything that Trump says is not true. And I love the people that fly the American flag, and they think they're the true patriots. Many of them are not patriots at all. And President Trump called the group of hooligans, the group of thugs in those cars surrounding the Biden-Harris bus on I-35 in Texas. He called them patriots and said, I don't think they did anything wrong. President Trump thrives on an intimidation mentality. He did it in business, and he's doing it as president. And for everybody who is only concerned with what Antifa might do if Trump is reelected, I think there's reason to believe and be concerned with what people on the right may do if Biden wins the election and Trump loses. I think there's reason to be concerned. I hope I'm wrong. But going back and wrapping up here, I've got a comment here from Derek says, do you think the possibility of violence is more likely if Trump or Biden wins? Derek, I don't know. I'm being honest. I could see it happening either way, which is really sad. I mean, this is America. We should be able to have an election and not worry about violence. I mean, that's the concern of third world countries that have supporters of dictators. If the dictator wins, we're going to riot. If the dictator loses, we're going to riot. That's the ambiance of a third world nation, not the United States of America, but yet it is the ambience in America now. I find that very sad. I hope we have reached the edge. And regardless of the results of this election, I hope we come back off the edge. And think about how you are judging people. You're judging who somebody is. You're changing your opinion of people based on who they're voting for. Like the guy who loved listening to me and now he can't listen. And it seems like there are a lot of Trump supporters that are just, they're sensing this feeling of desperation. And so they're even madder at me now because I don't suck up to Trump. I've supported President Trump on some things that he's done. But I'm not going to buy into the bashing of the media in general. The fake news, the news that he says is fake news is not fake news. It's news that disagrees with him. That is not the definition of fake news. So I'm concerned with this assault on democracy. And I thought conservatives, I thought Republicans. Look, I was a Republican much of my life. I grew up in a Republican household. My dad was a Republican delegate to the Republican convention that nominated Dwight Eisenhower as the Republican nominee. I grew up a teenage Republican. I guess it was the summer of '74. My friends were outside playing. I was in my den, in my home in a suburb of New Orleans, watching the Watergate hearings. And I knew the names of the characters. I was waiting for the bubblegum trading cards to come in so I could trade, John Dean for a Sam Irvin, or John Ehrlichman for John Haldeman. So I've always been kind of a political junkie, but for a long time, I was a Republican. When I first started on WWL talk radio, I was more conservative than I am now. But I changed. And I changed based on the way life treated me, and I changed based on the way I saw life treating other people. I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left me. The Republican Party got too damn ugly and hateful for me. And Donald Trump is the ultimate manifestation of the change in the Republican Party. And there are really great Republicans, like Ben Sasse, senator from Nebraska. Ben Sasse is a good guy. John Kasich is a good guy. Rob Portman from Ohio. There are a lot of great Republicans. I don't buy into the extremes on the right or the left. And there are extremes on both sides. So, I hope we can get back to being who we are. Look, for my talk radio show and for social media, I love the conflict. It's great. And it is who we have become as a nation, but we have the power to change. Regardless of who you vote for, we don't have to buy into such hate. You have to change your opinion of a family member. You don't have to change your opinion of a friend or somebody that you've listened to on the radio just because they might support a candidate different from the candidate that you support. Supporting the freedom to support a candidate is total America. That is American. Not respecting that is not American. And if you don't respect that, I don't see how you have a right to call yourself a patriot or even fly the American flag, which stands for the freedom to vote for who you want to vote for. And in the streets, talk about who you want to talk about. I'm Scoot. Thank you for being with me. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will become a subscriber, share it with others. We'll build a YouTube channel. It's a great extension of my radio show on WWL, 870 AM, 105.3 FM in New Orleans, or download the app radio.com. And if you download the app radio.com, it's free. Download the app and type in WWL, and you've got my show and you've got our station wherever you have your phone. And I'm on 1 to 4 in the afternoon. It's where politics and pop culture meet your opinions every afternoon from 1 to 4, and that's Central Time. Have a good evening. Go vote. I'll be back maybe Wednesday night, and we'll have a lot to talk about. I'm also on YouTube and well, this is YouTube. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and it's Scoot on the air. I hope you join me. I'm proud to have you with me, even if we don't agree on everything. Have a good night. God bless America. If you haven't voted, I hope you vote tomorrow. And even if we don't know who the winner is tomorrow, we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow. And then we'll have even more to talk about Wednesday. Even if we don't have a winner, we'll have a lot to talk about Wednesday and Thursday on how it's going. So this is great talk radio, a great time to make an appointment to tune into talk radio. Again, 1 to 4, WWL in New Orleans. Again, download the app radio.com and type in WWL. I'm Scoot. Love you guys. Thank you.